No, it's my turn anyway.
I know, but what even was
I
it?
don't
It was how you found QU, but obviously your location.
It was Abby Wayman coming and harassing you.
It was never an option for me, but my boss, she graduated from here,
Okay.
so she told me I should come, and then I was like, okay.
Okay.
She told me I would be employed for as long as it took me to get my degree, so that was kind of my decision.
Okay.
I honestly can't remember like what was like, oh, Quincy, but because I'm a transfer, I came here my sophomore year, and I can remember wanting to pick a school that was in the state. So I think me and my mom were just like Googling, like sign language programs in Illinois, and
It's probably
this was like, yeah, honestly, I think this was like the second option or the like, because there's a school in Chicago that offers sign language too. So I think it was like that school and then Quincy, and this one had the better program.
Mine was the summer going into my senior year, and I had not visited a school, and my best friend was coming here for a volleyball visit. And my parents are like, you should probably kick it into gear and go visit. So I visited, and then in February I went to presidential, and I got the presidential, so that was my biggest factor into deciding to come here.
I was looking for smaller schools. I grew up in a small town, so the smaller school setting was definitely more appealing than big university with 40,000 students. So I was just I narrowed schools in Illinois because that's where I'm from. So I narrowed that down so I'd stay in the state, and then I just kind of looked around. Then I had a really good childhood friend. She went here and graduated, so she was working here when I was still in high school, and she said you should come for a visit. So I came for a visit, and everything just kind of fell into place.
Okay. What makes QU different?
Well, definitely the size. Also, I feel like connecting to the sides, the professors are able to be more intimate with you, which helps school-wise, and semi-diverse type of school. So yeah.
Okay.
Should we narrow it down and say what makes the comm department?
Right. That was there, but we can just combine them. What makes the QU Com program different on top of QU?
You get hands-on experience. There's a lot of people that I know that go to different schools in communication, but they don't get the chance to do QUTV and do such hands-on experiences. So I'm glad that I got an opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, the department's smaller, so
Okay.
it's nice to get that experience from people who've been in the field. But I wouldn't really know what other town departments are like, so I can't really
Right.
compare it.
Okay.
That's a fair question.
having the professor's connections, because I got my internship because of Nora. So, cause she's worked in KHQA and WGM. I think she worked both. So yeah, so I was able to get my internship because of her and get more experience. So.
Yeah, I also like the the relationship you get to make with your teachers, because like I struggle a lot as a student, so I'm always asking questions or I'm always saying something. So I feel like when you have a little bit more of a personal connection with your teacher, it just helps, and I don't think you'd get that at a bigger university with a bigger communication program.
Okay.
I'm gonna go off that. I think the very first communications class I took was with Nora, and the most beneficial part was hearing her hands-on personal experience, but then because we go to such a small school, building a relationship with her on top of that. Like, I have an independent study with her, and most of our independent study is her sharing her experience or telling me stuff that like will benefit me in the future that you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't go to a smaller school.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the professors are obviously one of the big things for the comm department, I would say. I think it's really cool, not just one, but a couple of the comm professors have worked in the professional world, so they come to QU and they have experience and they tell you what you need to do. Nora was a hiring manager at a news station in town, so she basically told us one class what she would look for, and if you did this, you were automatically not even looked at a second time for the job. So that was really cool, and we did something with the broadcasting at QUTV where we kind of checked out other schools and much larger schools than us and just kind of seeing the things that they do and seeing how QU compares to them. There's really not that big of, we have really nice facilities and a lot of really good resources. You know, being a smaller school, and that puts us up with a lot of the bigger schools.
Okay. Kind of on that note, kind of a similar question. What other factors attracted you to QU and the comm program? Just kind of the same thing?
I mean, I guess so. I had a meeting with Travis, like when I was thinking about going over to comm, and I mean, he just kind of told me what was going on, and I mean, he sold me on the whole deal. So I was like, you know what, let's do it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Barb Schleppenbach.
Yes.
I love the woman.
Great.
I mean, my very first class at QU, because I had been out of school for 2 years, and I sat down in her class and was like, yep, I can do this. I can finish in a comm major. If I could major in Barb, I would.
I could major in part.
Anything else?
The teachers just do really play a big part.
Okay.
Considering we are a special communication department, you know, communicating with your teachers and getting to know them is just a really big thing that'll draw you in more if you're on the edge, I feel like.
Okay. Now the unfortunate question: what is not attractive about QU and the comm program?
I think I guess I don't really know how to word it, but I mean, they don't make all those resources well known, I guess, and I don't really know the answer to making it a well known thing, but like, I mean, when I was thinking of becoming a comm student, I mean, I didn't even know QTV and, you know, things like that existed when I was, you know, a student here before I was comm. So I think that's just something that's kind of unfortunate about it, that like, yeah, now that I'm a comm student, I see all these different resources and all the different things here, but not being a comm student, you don't.
Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but with the new website, each major has their own fact page. That is sort of addressed. Do you think that would have made it easier for you if that had existed when you were making that decision?
I didn't really look at the website.
Okay.
So yep, there's mine done.
Okay.
My only complaint would be the grading scale. I mean, I don't know how other universities do grading scales, but I think it should be universal in each department because, I mean, I'm not complaining, like, my grades are fine, but I just think, like, for public speaking, you can't have, like, freshmen come in and have all these different grading scales. It's confusing. Like, they should all be the same because, I mean, they already don't know what's going on.
So now, do you think that should be implemented university-wide or just within the program?
With university-wide, because I think it's unfair even for, well, I guess it would be humanities as a whole, because I know theology is the same way, and I just don't understand why.
Okay.
Kind of like what Derek said about finding out about resources, or rather not finding out, because I did find out about them, but it was almost too little too late, and now it's just like, oh, well, I'm leaving, so, and like that's like right when I found out about them.
We can come back to you.
Yeah. Give me a sec.
Well, it's rough that QU has like negative money right now,
Okay.
and how we're basically checking the couch cushions for loose change, and I feel like we're all suffering for it. I
Okay.
mean, I know it's the MAP grant stuff, but I feel like QU has put a lot of money into dumb stuff and not have had as much reserves as they should have, and I feel like just, I don't know, the comm department and every department in general
Okay.
is suffering.
Yeah, I feel like they most likely need to upgrade their technology to a certain extent. I mean, I guess the TV and stuff.
In what regards?
Just like computer wise, like on the fourth floor, those computers are so slow. And I just feel like they should all be Mac, honestly.
Now, is there anything specific to the comm program that's not attractive?
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of connects to the comm program
Right.
because you got to do editing. You have to like work with the camera, get into editing programs and everything. So I mean, it kind of connects, but yeah, I just say upgrade on
Technology.
resources.
Okay.
I had one more thing I was going to add that I just thought of. I think something else, and I know it's, you know, in the midst of the capital campaign that's going on, but I think how spread out the thing. So like the fact that the studios and stuff are over here, and all the professors' offices are over there. So somebody who's interested in communications, like you come down here and this is pretty cool, but someone who's interested and you're maybe trying to sell them on that, it's not like you can just walk downstairs and show it to them.
Okay.
Well, on that note, like the Falcon, we don't even have a space, and it's just kind of like, I mean, you'll get a paper out. It's just kind of like the whole thing is just kind of half-assed. So, I mean, you guys have like this nice
Yeah.
designated area that you get to come to, and have invested parties, and we're just kind of over there flailing with the fourth floor computers that most of the art students are like, get out, because this is our art lab. So we're just kind of on the back burner.
Okay. Is there anything else that sparked with anybody?
Agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
Okay. Now, what did other what did other schools offer with comm or anything in general that was attractive to you? If you had another school that was attractive to you.
I have a friend. So like I grew up right outside where the University of Illinois is at. So I have a friend that's a comm major at the University of Illinois, and I think it's not that the resources that she has are 50 times better than what we have, because they're not. I think just the fact that she has so many people within the field that she can connect with and like talk about assignments and different things like that. Whereas, we don't necessarily have that just because it's not a large program. So I would think, obviously the U of I is a much larger school than Quincy University, but just, schools with a larger comm department or larger comm student body, there's just a lot more pros to that because you have other people to feed off of and different things like that.
Oh, I did, but you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just like kind of going off of that, just like when I was looking at other schools, just bigger cities in the comm department open up more opportunities. Like I could get a better, not to say that my internship currently isn't like good experience, but there's not very many comm options. It's like you can go to the WIG, you can go to KHQA, like that's about it, because Quincy doesn't have a lot of communication options, so, which isn't really QU's fault, but.
I think just in general, I started out, like, I was a science major, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I applied to all my schools. And so I looked at Duke and Notre Dame, and one of the things that, stood out to me was opportunities, like we're talking about, for anything. And I think organizations are a big thing, too. Like, their campus life was always so vibrant and exciting, and when you walked on the campus, you could tell that. And sometimes I wonder if people have the same feeling when they walk onto Quincy's campus. And I think that's a huge attractive factor if you're marketing and you're looking at it from a business standpoint. Well, let's look at it as how are we going to market and sell our product to the customers, and it's making it attractive. It's advertising.
Now, is there anything the comm program can do to help that issue, or is that just students?
I mean, something that was frustrating for me was when you talk about how to beef up advertisement and it was shot down by administration. Well, that's frustrating as from a comm standpoint, because you're like, this is my future career, and you're telling me that it's basically irrelevant to the business side when like everything I've learned is contrary to that. So I think communications, I would love to see, since our communications department was kind of eradicated, I would like to see comm students kind of play a hand in that and get real life experience. I think that would be the best thing.
Okay.
I think something else with that is like I've spoken with Nora about it a couple times, but like even just having different monitors, like televisions on campus, like set in certain areas, and have like QU TV playing or something, like seeing, because not all students are going to tune in and watch, but if they're in the UC and that TV, this one TV is always going to have QU TV on it. I mean, that's getting us out there, the stuff that we cover, is informing the students what the comm department actually does.
Okay.
And it helps from a recruitment standpoint, because maybe you weren't interested in comm at first, but you're going on tour and you see this, these students on TV, and maybe that's something you're interested in now.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Now, for a final question, what is the number one thing, in your opinion, that would create the best growth for the comm program?
I think you need people like Christine Tracy or Nora and Travis, like I don't want to say attacking, but finding people with personalities, because they've worked in the field, they're all experienced, and they recognize what it would take to be successful in that field. And I think that's something the success coaches in that department in the Student Success Center are good at. But I think having, like, for me, the biggest thing was someone having confidence in my ability to do something, and that really, I was convinced that I'd be good at it if I tried it, and so I tried it, and it was the best decision of my life. And not to necessarily say people should tell you what to major in or tell you what to do with your life, but if you have a support system and you have people to recognize an ability in you, I think that's something that will promote students to coming this
Okay.
way.
So maybe, active recruitment of students into comm, looking out for, I don't know how that would be done, but trying to, root out those students. You find a high school senior and you can just tell, this is going to be the next genius in comm, something like that.
Well, and I think seniors in high school, but also, I mean, like, two people here, ASL and biology, there's students on campus here that could probably, maybe they aren't happy with their major and would make really good comm majors, but they just don't know it.
So maybe like a gen ed requirement would be something in comm, and maybe not comm 200 because that's like a taste of communications, but is it as inclusive as we would like it to be? I think you have to give them a little taste of something more, because like my first class was media writing, and I was like, holy cow, this is my life. Like, I love this.
I think like the biggest thing that would help would be having a centralized location for everything.
That's the goal.
And I know that's the goal, but I mean, I think that would be ideal. I mean, having everything in one location, having there be like a communications wing or whatever you want to call it, so that way people know, okay, this is a legit major because they have their own area.
Now, you were talking about wanting to attract students in other majors. Obviously, QU Media is fairly all-inclusive of the campus community, but do you think there should be more recruitment saying, you don't have to be a comm major to do this?
I have an example. I wanted to write for the Falcon last year as a bio major, and I was told it was a class and it was for communications majors. So I was like, oh, I can't do that. And I think that would have helped me make a decision early on coming to QU of what I would have liked to do if I would have had that experience. I don't know if I would have chose communications after that experience, but
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think that's an excellent point.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I never knew QUTV was a thing until probably like 2 semesters ago. So I think advertising that to students in general is something that's important.
Okay. Anything else? Does anybody else have an opinion of what would create the best growth?
I'm definitely in agreement with the active recruitment, be it
Okay.
here or when you're in
In high school.
still.
Okay.
So I think that would help a lot.
Okay.
Maybe the comm department should have more faculty, like, I don't know, grad assistants.
Or,
Now,
because we can't even offer all of the classes that we want to take. And if you don't follow the schedule perfectly, then you're
That's
going to
so
get screwed up.
frustrating,
Like,
right?
I have to take way too many credits next semester because they
Same.
fucked up the
And
schedule.
independent studies, I think to a comm student are terrible because you miss the in-class experience.
Yeah.
Like, it's awful.
I also think a really big part of communications and like would be including like where alumni are. Like I went to an event that the university held, and there was an alumni there who's does like a morning show at the St. Louis market on the news, which I mean that's a huge market, so I mean that's a big deal that he was a QU grad. He's working on doing a morning show down in St. Louis. So I mean that's just something big that again I don't think that's marketed enough to students.
Now, an example, I know in the aviation program we have an alumni of the month where we have like there's like a little sheet of paper that has all this facts about so and so graduated in this year and since then they have done this. Do you think that's kind of what you would like to see?
Yeah, because I mean I've sat on a couple other things where it's like people have asked what they should do in certain situations, and I think alumni can really be used in certain things because as an undergraduate student and you're on a career path and you see where some of these other people went on the same career path, it kind of motivates you a little bit, like, okay, this is worthwhile because look at where he's at or where she's at. And so I think that's something that QU as a whole I don't think really utilizes enough, but obviously, I mean, the comm department could definitely do something like that.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with the faculty. There should be more faculty, definitely. But on top of that, potential is important as well. Making sure that like the faculty can actually see potential in you and they encourage you. It's like I'm an art minor and like Carl helped me see my own potential in art and whatnot. So I mean, he's mainly one of the reasons why I stayed in art and decided to pursue it as a minor. So I think that faculty, they need to be extremely friendly, not throwing shade at nobody, but just stay energetic, keep the students engaged, keep the students confident, and yeah.
Okay. Is that all? Oh, thank you, everybody.
No, I have a question.
Yeah, one more.
Okay, so did any of you actually come to QU as communication? Just Bryce?
I didn't.
Allison?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you? Okay.
I'm sorry,
I was like, I don't want to point you out, but I think you did.
Yeah.
So Bryce and Allison. So, for the rest of you, when you came to QU, did you mention anything about communication as a second option?
It was my minor.
So, when you mentioned that, did they show you any of this?
No.
Or tell you anything like that?
I honestly don't remember, but I know it's a fact I wasn't shown it.
Okay.
That makes me sad.
I mean, they didn't even tell. I came in as one, and I had no idea it existed, and no one told me about it. No one showed me it. It
Well, I
wasn't
think-
until I,
I think-
had to actually take the class, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you're required
This
to go
is
there.
the thing, yeah.
Well, I think for me, like when I was business and like I told my business advisor that I was wanting to go into communications, she didn't really, and not, I mean, obviously she wanted me to stay as a business major, but she didn't really lead me in the right direction. Like I had to go and ask an older student here who the best communications professor to talk to was, and so she directed me to Travis. So I emailed Travis and set up a meeting, myself, which not saying I shouldn't have, but it was just kind of there was no one really helping me to get in contact with the right person. Once I got there, it was fine, but
Before you came to QU, did they give you a tour, like of the Student Success Center, the cafeteria, all of that? So yes, they did?
Yeah.
They didn't show you this, though? So they showed you, like, the science department and everything else, but not...
I
Here?
never went to North Campus, and I was a science major. And it wasn't offered until my discovery day.
yeah. Like, I guess I can speak from the admissions standpoint on this question, but like, we don't show North Campus as a part of our like everyday tour. So if you come here as a freshman or as a senior in high school with your parents, and it's I'm giving you the tour, then we don't show North Campus. Now, if they're a bio major and they want to meet with a professor, we set that up, and they take the shuttle up here and meet the professor, and then it's up to the professor to show them the labs and stuff like that. But we don't have the keys to basically get in. So I mean, I would kind of classify this as a lab almost, where it's not something that I obviously would know what to talk about down here, but someone who's not a comm major doesn't even know where it is, wouldn't know what to talk about. And I mean, it takes a while to get up here on the shuttle. You know what I mean? But I mean, I know on Discovery Days, if you're interested in comm, there's a tour that goes up here.
Discovery Days is after you already say that you're coming here, right? Or is it...
Discovery Days are just Saturday group visits. So like juniors, seniors, and high schools always come, and they necessarily aren't committed here. Not even half the time they haven't even applied, which I know is weird, but
That was me too.
well, maybe it's not weird, but
So do you think, like, when someone comes in just for a visit for admissions, do you think that you should say, like, if you want to see or mention this kind of stuff? Like, do you mention Science Lab has a new lab, or do you mention that Communication has a studio, or anything like that? Like, if they tell you a major that they're interested in?
yeah, if they tell us the major that they're interested in, I mean, I personally cater to what they're telling me. So yeah, if they say they're a biochem lab or biochem major, I'm going to say, oh, well, our bio and chem labs were just renovated in the last 2 years. They're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
But not all admissions are like.
Right. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone gives the same tour, and
Do you think that should be a requirement?
I think personally
Like, everybody
speaking,
too, not just Derek.
sorry, but I think showing. I mean, as it stands now, we don't even come to North Campus, and your tour already is sitting at like 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So like all of a sudden you add North Campus into that, and you're looking at probably, potentially another 45 minutes up here if you show everything. So I don't know. It just kind of, I don't know.
Well, not necessarily showing them North Campus, but like mentioning different things that they have. Like, you could be in the Student Success Center and say, oh, if you're interested in comm, check out the TV studio. And then you could give them a professor's name. So, like, how you didn't have one because you didn't know who a good communication professor was. then you would have that professor's name before you even came to QU.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just think it's hard. I just think it's hard because a lot of people that we give tours to, a lot of them honestly don't even know what they want to do unless they're diehard. I'm going into education, or diehard, I'm going to be a dentist one day. Stuff like that. I know those are like night and day differences, but
but those are probably both right.
yeah. But I mean, comm, I feel like, is one of those things that people see and get passionate about. So like, I think I just don't know how it would work, but yeah, I mean, I think if somebody who was maybe questionable about their major and would come down and see all the different options here, and yeah, I mean, it would be, I think that would catch anybody's eye. But that's also what I was saying with like the monitors around campus that are like playing QUTV. I think that would play a huge role because then you're seeing, oh, that's a student-run television station. So.
I think it definitely should be mentioned. I mean, when I oversaw all the tour guides at John Wood Community College, and
Hello.
we would give each of our tour guides like a
Hello.
list of things for each department, so that if they were like I already knew I was in comm, so I knew all the comm professors at John Wood. But if someone else was giving a tour, they had a cheat sheet that they could look off of and know what was in the department, knew who they could talk to, and then they could give it to the student. And then they would have a sheet of everything if they weren't like super hardcore into a specific area of study.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a student that comes here that's specifically wanting comm, then what happens is they'll get set up with a professor to talk to, and then it's up to the professor to bring them here, and all that good stuff. But I mean, speaking from personal experience, there's not a whole lot of people who come on visits that are comm students. I mean,
Do you think that's because they don't know enough about like QU's comm department, or they're just generally just not?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think in the question we always get on tour, and there's not really an answer to it. It's just what are your popular programs here? That's a very popular question, especially on the group visit days. Is, well, what do a lot of students major in here? What are your most popular programs, or what are the programs that students succeed the most in? Things like that. And I mean, there's not really an answer for that. I'd like to say communications, but
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, I don't know the answer to that.
right, yeah, I mean,
So do you think people who want to major in communications have a certain type of personality? Like
Yeah.
that's one thing in common that you think you all have with each other is the same kind of personality?
Not necessarily the same kind of personality, but we all have a personality, and it shows more than other majors.
Okay.
And I think it's like the most willing major to accept a lot of different opinions and personalities.
Yes.
I think we all have separate, very unique personalities, and we mesh really well together.
I agree with that.
So based on you guys deciding that you have that kind of personality, is there something at QU that they could show you that would appeal to you because of that? Because like if you have this certain type, the
Yeah.
studio, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked. I mean, this is a really cool facility we have down here that no one ever sees.
This is the first time I was
This is
here, and
I've
I've been
never
here
seen
for a
this.
while, and
Yeah.
a comm student for a while, and this is the first time I'm seeing it. Which shouldn't, that shouldn't happen, because even if I knew, like, I was very adamant when I came here that I didn't want to do broadcasts, because basically I just didn't want to, like, be on camera. But, like, someone should have said, oh no, you need to, like, go, we need to take you there and show you, because I might have a hidden talent for broadcast, or I might have a hidden passion for it. Someone should have brought me here so I could have seen it. Maybe there's something brewing inside me, oh yeah, I want to do broadcast, but that wasn't even a thing. It was just like, oh, well then you can go to the Falcon. There was no, and then no one took me to, like, see, there's obviously nothing for the Falcon, but no one, like, went any further with it. Like, if you want people to be excited about your department, show me what you have to offer, so that I can be passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was shown what my original major was. Granted, it's a single room on the third floor in Francis or whatever that place is called. But like, if I was also shown this, because this was originally my minor, I still would have probably been like more fired up about my minor and maybe even wanting to switch it faster to my. I'm not saying like this one thing is solely would have been dependent on like making my mind, but definitely would have been more like.
Oh, it's cool. Maybe I'll come check
Yeah.
this out.
Cause it is cool, and like it's unfortunate that it's all the way over here on North Campus in a basement, doesn't get shown, no one ever hears about it, like, and the only time you ever see it is like if it's on the TV when you're watching QU TV or so.
I think to go off of what Bryce said, like it's important, especially whether you're a communications major or not a communications major, is just like explaining to them what options there are as a communications major. Like just because a lot of people I think associate communications with broadcast, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. And even if you are interested in broadcast, you don't have to be on camera. So I think making that known to students just in general, that there are so many options within communications, like that, I think that's huge.
The other thing with showing this to anybody, not just communications majors, is the fact that more likely than not, you will change your major as a college student. And I mean, kudos to those who have kept up with it all 4 years and never once thought, I want to change my major. But coming from someone that did change their major late in the game, it would have been nice to know earlier,
What your
like
options are.
what my options were, what my resources were, and I didn't. So.
Then another thing that I've been waiting to see if anybody brought up was the second floor has the old radio station. Do you
Yes.
think, since North Campus isn't on a tour, if we were to get that up and running, do you think that would be a good recruitment tool?
Oh yeah, I was.
No, you finish your thought. I'm not gonna interrupt.
I was just gonna say that I don't know who it was, but I think you might have been there. We were cleaning it out, and as we were cleaning out the room, like it was just so cool to be in there and know that that was a thing that there was potential for. And Nora was like, yeah, like we want to get this working again, and I was like, oh man, I'm so sad I'm leaving now because I totally wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah,
And
'cause do we even have like a radio program of any kind? Like, is anything?
It's the multimedia
Yeah.
program that they're redoing that part, so it'll be multimedia.
Well, I think like showing that room and like showing, I think once they get done what they're wanting to get done in there, it'll be a really cool thing to show, especially to anybody on tour, because like when we take people now, people ask about it, but like there's not really much to show in there now, because like I think once that whiteboard gets up there and we can say, okay, yeah, once a week we have editorial meetings, and here this is where everything starts, and then because like isn't the goal to have like the chief editor, whatever it is, like have an office back there too. So I think that's really cool too, and showing that, I think, and then that could lead into, if you're interested in this, we also have a TV studio up at North Campus, and if they sound really interested, then okay, well, here's the professor, you know what I mean, or if we have time at the end, let's go see the new studio.
I just think the radio aspect in general really needed and really needs to be played upon, because I really like radio, and I would have gotten into if there was an option between broadcast radio and the Falcon, would have chosen radio, but it wasn't even rodeo. Yes, but it wasn't even an option. Like when they brought up the podcast and stuff, I was like excited about it, but I'm gonna miss it. I'm not gonna be here
yeah,
for it. So
that sounds so. And also,
that's something they should really think about. I think.
not only is it cool, but it makes QU and the department look legit. Like having this and
All three
That's
platforms.
like it just makes you look legit and cool, and like you want to be a part of it. And I'm
And
really
because
sad I'm leaving.
and it's a small school, so your chances of being involved in it are much higher than going to a super huge school.
Yes,
I mean, you'll never get airtime.
Well, I think like stuff like this makes the communications department more than just like a link on the school website. I mean,
Wait,
like
what did
showing,
you say?
like I said, showing things like this makes the communications department more than just like a major on the list on the website.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
What about like a virtual tour on the website or something?
I never watched those. Like everyone plays up the website really big, but I think it's more for enrolled students than it is for prospective students. Because if you try to navigate any website for any college, it's difficult. You have to like Google what you're looking for. That's my experience with it.
Yeah, I think the virtual tour is a good idea. I'm just not sure like how many people would find it and watch it.
I mean, QU's gonna mess it up. I mean, literally, they
You're
are.
right.
Because I mean, I've done hundreds of university searches, and QU by far is the worst website to navigate. Even the new one, like a virtual tour, they're gonna mess it up. I mean, you can't even search on the search bar. It's
You
ridiculous.
can't even search. You
can't.
really can't.
You can't.
I know.
But like, I don't feel like websites are really a good determining, like to like help, like get a college out there in general. Like she said, I think it really is for the kids that go here now, and as opposed to like the only thing I did before I got here was hit the apply now button,
Yeah.
truly, and that was about it until Moodle.
Literally, and that didn't work for me. I had to come in.
Yeah, I had to call
Yeah.
about it because something went wrong with it.
Yeah.
It like didn't go through or something, and I was like, yeah, that's good, cool. Don't accept
It
me.
was a Q thing before it was a Q.
Don't accept me. That's fine. Go somewhere else.
Don't take my money.
I mean, but hey, it worked
I didn't leave
eventually.
the side.
So.
Based on everything that you guys have said, would you all agree that communication students are visual?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The second thing, the best recruitment tool would be seeing the studio and the radio station.
Yes.
Do you think that's the number one best way?
I think just
I-
telling people about it because I had no idea what communications was.
Yeah, start by telling people and then
Yes.
showing me.
I-
Because
yeah.
it wasn't even told to me
Yes.
as a prospective student.
Yeah, I think like baby steps obviously first, like informing people that it exists, and then making the step of okay, you're gonna see the resources we have, and then even a step further than that, you're gonna meet the people